Take it away, Mark.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Cope. So before we start, just want to take a couple minutes to remind you about some of the other upcoming webinars that we have scheduled, which you can find a complete list of those and all the workshops in the events section of our website. All of these run from 11 until 12 unless otherwise noted, and of course they're always free of charge. Without going through the entire list, I'll mention that there are 10 webinars, I believe, planned between now and early May, and they cover a wide variety of topics that are important to anyone who works in or supports manufacturing. Now, today's webinar is the second of two presentations focused on conducting meetings. The first of those was about 2 weeks ago and was a discussion of conducting production meetings. Today, of course, is a discussion of the purpose, methods, and benefits of conducting management review. So as Jamie mentioned, my name is Mark Henline, and I am the manager of management systems for the WVU Industrial Extension. The Industrial Extension team is tasked with supporting organizations throughout the state of West Virginia with a variety of needs. I specifically help with management system needs such as quality and environmental system development, internal auditing, and training associated with those systems. I personally graduated from Fairmont State with a bachelor's degree in manufacturing engineering, and I am certified as a lead auditor for ISO 9001, ISO 14001, and IATF 16949. I've been a part of the Industrial Extension team since May of last year. And prior to that, I spent most of my career in manufacturing as a quality manager, although I did spend a few years as a production and logistics manager. And most of my experience has been in the manufacture of catalytic converters, aluminum, and plastic products. So the WVU Industrial Extension partners with small and medium-sized manufacturers within the state of West Virginia to support operational improvement and business growth. As a part of West Virginia University, the Industrial Extension serves the university's land grant mission and is housed in the Statler College of Engineering and Mineral Resources. As West Virginia's affiliate to the NIST MEP National Network, the WVU Industrial Extension is part of a nationwide program of centers that are tasked with supporting the manufacturing community. Now, this unique arrangement provides the Industrial Extension the opportunity to support manufacturing from a national, a state, and also a local level. The Industrial Extension focuses on developing consulting services that reflect client needs, provide hands-on education, and work one-on-one with our clients to deliver practical solutions in the areas of workforce, occupational health and safety, management systems, operational improvement, advanced manufacturing, leadership and development, and also innovation and growth services. And before we get started, just a couple of reminders. Please make sure your devices are muted. And as Jamie mentioned, if you'd like to submit a question, feel free to use the chat box during the presentation. And of course, we will take time to respond to any submitted questions or provide an opportunity to ask any additional questions at the end of the presentation. So in today's presentation, I'll be discussing management review. When to schedule, so is there a set frequency, the purpose of holding them, so what's the value, what topics should be discussed, and what relevant information should be shared for each topic. What's the expected result? So what can you hope to gain by spending valuable time to go through the process? Now, as I did 2 weeks ago, I'd like to start with a safety minute because, of course, safety should be number one for all of us. And so I'd like to just take a minute to do that. So recently I saw a Denzel Washington movie called The Little Things, in which he plays a deputy sheriff searching for a serial killer. Now, in the movie, he makes a comment. He says, "It's the little things that get you caught," and that's our safety topic for today. The little things. So, when reviewing safety risks in the workplace, the focus is often on big hazards, such as working at heights, electrical issues, confined space entry. Of course, these are things that definitely need to be taken seriously, but we also need to maintain our focus on the little things. And by little things, I mean hazards such as a power cord laying on the floor, or a nail protruding through a board, a slippery spot on the floor, or a tool placed in a precarious position. These little things have the potential to cause very serious harm to employees when they aren't recognized and corrected. And it's easy to overlook the little things around the workplace, particularly when more prevalent hazards exist. So it's very likely that one of these overlooked hazards might be the root cause of the next recordable injury at your workplace. Statistically, it's more likely that a company will experience multiple injuries caused by trips in a year than to have an injury caused by a fall from a height of greater than 6 feet. For example, according to National Safety Council statistics, in 2019, there were 244,000 slip, trip, and fall incidents, resulting in lost time injuries, and there were 792 fatalities. Now, most of these incidents were falls on the same level. The focus is often on preventing falls from over 6 feet, but those at the same level or a level less than 6 feet are significantly more common. So the reality is that the little things really are the big things. While the big hazards need to be properly mitigated, we can't lose focus on the small hazards. There's a much greater chance that a small hazard will cause an injury than there is of a big hazard causing a fatality. So, what is management review? Well, it's a formal, structured meeting which takes place at regularly scheduled intervals throughout the year. The objective is to determine continuing suitability, adequacy, and effectiveness of the management system in order to ensure that it remains fully aligned with the strategic direction of the organization. This includes the company's quality policy, your goals and objectives, and any other elements of the management system. Now, beyond assessing the management system, management review also provides a forum to reflect on changes that have occurred within the organization. Consider any potential opportunities that have been identified and any to address any risks that might exist within the business. These are all items that should be continuously reviewed as a part of the management review process. So, as the title implies, the intent is for the management system to be reviewed by top management, that is, the leaders of your organization. And as I said, the system is evaluated to ensure alignment with the organization's strategy. So, conducting an effective review isn't really possible if those responsible for the strategy aren't present. As a business leader, it's important to demonstrate commitment to the management system. So, not being present can only serve to undermine confidence in that commitment. Moreover, the leadership team have a vested interest in the system's performance and should have a genuine interest in finding improvement opportunities and eliminating risk. I'm stressing the importance of top management involvement because I have worked with organizations in which the leaders believe that management review is a quality process rather than a business process. a process that the quality manager is responsible to conduct and that doesn't require any input from anyone outside of the quality department. But the reality is that that could not be farther from the truth. So why do it? Whether your management system is certified to an internal standard, or you haven't decided to become certified yet, or you have decided that certification just isn't right for your business, the review process is key to understanding your management system performance. It provides information necessary to make informed decisions regarding system strategy and improvement recommendations to ensure that your business continues to grow and improve. The bottom line is that top management, functional managers, facility managers, in fact, all levels of the organization should be represented with a goal of determining if the management system in its current form is sufficient to achieve expected results to meet organizational requirements such as suitability of policies and objectives, and if it's operating as it's intended. It's also an important step toward identifying and adequately resolving any issues that may impact the business or its customers, and of course, to continuously improve your process. So, scheduling. How often should the leadership team meet to review the management system? Frequency and meeting format are really determined by the organization based on what works for your business. While some management standards require annual reviews at a minimum, others don't prescribe a frequency at all. For example, IATF 16949, which is the automotive industry standard, requires meeting annually at a minimum. ISO 9001, which is the general industry standard, has no firm requirement for frequency and simply states at planned intervals. Now, it's generally accepted that the process aligns with the organization's financial year. Performance will impact or potentially impact improvement project budgets, so it's logical to review your system and results prior to fiscal year end. Doing so provides an opportunity to include project budgeting as an output of your review. So many organizations prefer to hold meetings more than once a year, choosing to meet quarterly or even monthly, because a typical review can cover a lot of important performance data and trends. Getting together once a year is likely too infrequent for most businesses. Leadership really needs to receive regular progress reports regarding organizational performance, and management review is a great way to meet that need. It's also a good idea to consider increasing frequency of meetings if changes lead to increase in risk of compliance with customer requirements, or if there are, performance-related issues. Guidance on management review issued as part of system standards makes it clear that the review process does not have to be a separate activity from processes already in place in an organization. You may choose to have standalone management reviews or combine those activities with other business activities, such as strategy and business planning, or operations meetings, or board meetings, or even customer requirement reviews. There's no rule requiring a full agenda review with each meeting, nor is there a need to duplicate effort if you cover certain aspects as part of other management meetings. Whatever schedule you establish, it's important to do so well in advance so that all of the participants can be sure to be present. So let's take a quick poll. Do your organizations currently hold management review meetings? Is it yes annually, yes quarterly, yes monthly, or no, we don't currently hold review meetings? Okay, so it looks like we've still got a couple coming, but there we go. So for the most part, it looks like quarterly, which is pretty good, um, and a lot annually. So that's great. So there's not too many that don't currently uh, have management review meetings. That's really good. So meeting preparation. Uh, as with many aspects of a business, planning and preparation are very important to ensure an effective and efficient management review. Uh, Management reviews are intended to help you achieve maximum value from your management system, and they should be chaired by a member of senior management who has overall responsibility for the management system. Now, this is typically, your organization's quality director or quality manager. Whoever this person is, they are accountable for scheduling, convening, leading, and reporting on management reviews. The chairman will need to determine what team members should attend and who will be responsible for taking minutes, things like that. In addition, data required as inputs to the meeting will need to be coordinated. Now, often this comes from many different departments, so the chairperson will need to coordinate with other department managers in advance to ensure that all necessary information is available and up to date. Um, ISO standards don't require documented meeting schedules. However, the standard does say at planned intervals. So a documented schedule is just a good way to provide evidence that there is a plan. The meeting agenda. An agenda can vary depending on your company's needs and the meeting format. As I mentioned earlier, if you choose to hold multiple meetings each year, each meeting's agenda does not necessarily need to cover every single item. The key is to cover each item at some point throughout your meeting cycle, with increased attention to those items that are not achieving the expected target. However, it is likely that most organizations will decide that every topic is worth reviewing at each meeting and will choose to review a full agenda. And realistically, if you feel like information being reviewed is just a waste of time, then it's probably not really necessary to be recording or reviewing it anyway. So, what should be reviewed and discussed during the meeting? Well, if your organization has an ISO 9001 certified management system, there is a specific list of required inputs and outputs in the standard. But of course, additional items are certainly welcome as the team deems necessary. The required inputs include status of actions from previous management reviews, changes in external and internal issues that are relevant to the management system, information on the performance and effectiveness of the management system, and that particular requirement includes 7 trends, which I'll discuss in a minute. Um, Also required is the adequacy of resources, the effectiveness of adequate actions taken to address risks and opportunities for improvement. And then required outputs from the standard are opportunities for improvement, uh, any need for changes to the management system, and any resource needs. So we'll look at inputs in just a little more detail. Some are pretty straightforward and easy to understand, but others need a bit of clarification. The status of actions is easy to understand. As issues or opportunities are identified in meetings, it's important to document those actions that are needed in response. Who's responsible, expected completion date, and so on. And then to track and update progress. What are relevant internal and external issues? Well, that could be, government regulation or law changes. It could be the new presidential administration. Uh, Perhaps it shifts in the organization's market due to economic downturn caused by a global pandemic, or it could be the loss of a significant customer. It could be events that affect corporate image or even technology changes. Basically, it's those things that may have or have had an impact on your company. Adequacy of resources, broadly speaking, means the adequacy of facilities and equipment, as well as the means and employees or the means and ability of your employees to fulfill your organization's strategy. For example, do your employees have proper facilities and tools necessary to work effectively and efficiently? And although risks and opportunities must be determined and addressed, it doesn't really require a formal documented risk management process. You just need to be able to develop a process such as brainstorming that enables you to effectively identify organizational risks and opportunities. Once identified, it's really a matter of determining and implementing mitigation actions. And I also mentioned that performance and effectiveness of the management system includes 7 trends. And while there may be many more metrics that can be used to evaluate performance and add value, I'll review those that are required by the ISO 9001 standard. This will just give you an idea of the indicators that you might want to monitor, regardless of your certification status. And keep in mind, these are a few suggestions, but you should monitor information that's really important to your organization and that adds value. The objective is to gain a detailed understanding of performance over time and develop a pathway to improvement. So, customer satisfaction is obviously a measure of how happy your customers are with your company's products, services, and capabilities. And this feedback can be solicited through surveys or unsolicited through customer provided scorecards or emails that express appreciation or concern. It can include direct customers or end users of your products and services. Other interested parties are those that add value to your company or are impacted by your company's activities. Now, this might include suppliers or regulators, such as federal, state, or local government agencies. It can also include people within the organization, such as the owners or shareholders, or even your employees. Beyond that, it can also include your neighbors, whether another company in your industrial park or residents of the neighborhood in which your business is located. Feedback can include appreciation for contributions to a cause of interest, or maybe your company's chosen to support a local athletic team. It can also include a neighbor stopping the plant manager on his way out the door to complain about noise levels or fumes or employee behavior. It's really any feedback that you receive, whether positive or negative, that helps you to understand how your company is performing and how it's perceived. It's feedback that provides direction to improvement. So your organizations most likely have already established and documented goals and objectives, such as increasing sales revenue, increasing order quantity, or decreasing shipping costs. Just keep in mind, objectives should be SMART, or specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. Monitoring these metrics allows you to gauge progress toward achieving your goals and objectives. Process performance and conformity of products and services is specific to the manufacturing process and its outputs. These are measures of your effectiveness and your efficiency for your processes, and they can include things like asset and capacity utilization or cycle times. Uh, Conformity is a measure of how well your product meets specifications, which has a direct impact on customer satisfaction. Nonconformities and corrective actions are closely related to audit results, but not one and the same. Nonconformities can certainly be identified during an audit, whether internal or external. However, they can also be identified from a number of other sources. They may be the result of a customer complaint or an internal failure that was not necessarily identified in an audit. They can stem from monitoring and measuring results if substandard performance is identified. Whatever the source, it's important to monitor these concerns in order to determine if there are trends that should be addressed or weaknesses in a particular area. With respect to audit results, if multiple issues are identified in a specific area, such as calibration or document control, well, then that speaks to a larger issue, uh, perhaps a complete breakdown of that specific process. And if that's the case, it certainly warrants more scrutiny and potential corrective action. And monitoring corrective actions is important to ensure that they are effective in mitigating a concern. Often, corrective actions address a symptom of a problem, but fail to really correct the root cause of the issue. External providers are your suppliers, and they're a significant part of your organization. Um, their performance clearly has an impact on your ability to meet your customer requirements. So it's critical that you monitor supplier performance to ensure that they are meeting your requirements. Establish criteria for evaluating them, the same as your customers are likely doing to you. Ensure that your expectations are communicated, then monitor performance and hold suppliers accountable to meet your expectations. This includes all suppliers, not just those to provide components for your products. It also means suppliers of services such as calibration or maybe maintenance. These organizations can also have a very significant impact on your success. So, what are some additional input ideas that are relevant to business and can add value to your conversations? Well, cost of poor quality, which is costs incurred when products aren't right the first time. These can include things like reinspection, product failures, rework costs, customer concessions, even additional handling, things of that nature. Measures of process efficiency is a measure of how well a process delivers a product or service without generating waste. Measures of process effectiveness is a measure of output compared to the desired objective. Product conformance is the ability of a product to meet design specifications. And then manufacturing feasibility is understanding if a process is capable of achieving the product or process requirements that are intended. Performance versus maintenance objectives provides assurance that maintenance efficiency increases asset life and potentially improves productivity. Warranty performance is, of course, a measure of warranty claim costs versus expected costs. Customer scorecards that we mentioned earlier certainly should be reviewed if your customers choose to provide them. And then potential field failures are an understanding of how your product might ultimately fail. And this is typically determined by a risk analysis, such as an FMEA. And then, of course, you want to review actual field failures, if any exist, to understand what happened, what caused them to fail. So, what are the outputs that should come from management review? Uh, the purpose of the meeting should and the outcome should be continual improvement of the management system, including your policies, your procedures, your work instructions, and so on. Identifying opportunities for improvement during the meeting and through other activities such as internal audits will help to develop actions needed for systemic improvement and for targeting needed resources. In addition, you will develop actions to improve failed performance targets. Now, as your organization's management system improves in effectiveness and efficiency, your organization's policies and procedures will improve, and process performance will likewise increase. So, how should management review be documented? Well, as I mentioned, a schedule is not required. However, the standard does require documented information as evidence of the results. So, meeting minutes that include what was discussed, opportunities for improvement that were identified, action items that were raised, and data that was reviewed is definitely beneficial. And also including a list of attendees is a good idea. A management review procedure is not mandatory from an ISO 9001 certification standpoint. However, it is useful for the business to develop and implement a procedure that defines management review responsibilities, scheduling inputs such as your agenda, and outputs like your minutes and actions. So let's take another quick poll. How do you think that management review would or does most benefit your business? Is it increased top management awareness, improved policies and procedures, improved process performance, or increased satisfaction? Okay, so it looks like we've got results. Kind of a toss up between increased top management awareness and improved process performance. I guess it's kind of a trick question because all of those things really could be benefits of holding management review meetings. So before we wrap up, let's consider our original discussion points. The goal is to understand management review, when to schedule meetings, the purpose, what should be discussed, and what relevant information should be shared, and what we can hope to gain by spending this time to go through the process. So we review the process, inputs and outputs, as well as data that you might want to review as part of your agenda. The goal is to understand process performance and to identify opportunities to improve and risks that may negatively impact your business, as well as developing actions to address both of those things. But what else makes conducting management review worthwhile? It's important that conducting management review is not just viewed as checking the box. Management review is really a great opportunity to add value to the management system and to the business. For example, the intent is not to say internal audits were performed on May 15, 2020 or whatever. The intent is for top management to review audit results and based on the findings, determine opportunities to improve the business and to mitigate results that are brought to light. The standard doesn't use the word meeting, but rather management review with the intent of top management reviewing relevant data and information in order to determine the system's acceptability. For example, does the system continue to support the strategic direction of the organization? Have the requirements of interested parties changed? Have corrective actions effectively addressed root cause of problems? Or have the problems occurred again? Have complaints been adequately addressed? Have there been any changes in statutory requirements? These are the types of outputs that should be expected from management review. And as an additional step, once a review of the information is complete, publish the results to communicate to the entire organization. Everyone is part of your team, and everyone should be made aware of the work that's being done to improve the organization. So 2 weeks ago, when I did the webinar, I wrapped up with a dad joke. So I decided to do the same thing again today. So today's joke is, does anyone know how many tickles it takes to make an octopus laugh? The answer is it takes 10 tickles. And with that said, thanks for joining us today. And please never hesitate to contact me or any member of the WVU Industrial Extension team. We are always here to help. Jamie?
All right. Thank you, Mark. And Mark's next webinar will be how to tell a dad joke. No, we're not going to do that. As we mentioned at the beginning, if you have any questions, now would be the time to put them in the chat. I did get a question earlier, Mark, that wanted to know if you're doing one of these management review meetings, is it required or beneficial to do, say, like a PowerPoint presentation or something along those lines?
Well, it's not required. Many organizations that I've worked with will just have kind of a check sheet with all of the inputs and outputs that are required, and then they'll make sure that they review each of those items and then make notes afterwards. But in my previous role for 5.5 years, I did it every single month, and I created a 30 or 40 page PowerPoint presentation that reviewed a lot of the metrics, and that way we made sure that the management team was seeing the most up-to-date information available for all of the metrics that we looked at, and they were well informed about performance of the system.
Okay, great. We had a couple of comments, people encouraging you on your dad joke, which I
encouraging me not to tell any more of them.
Well, they seem to like it, but anyway. Also, we had a request. Somebody wanted to know how they could get on our mailing list. So an easy way would be to email me, Jamie Cope, or you can send an email to Mark, since his is up on the screen right now. Just send an email saying, hey, add us to your mailing list, and we'll be sure to include you on our mailing list. We've got a great group of webinars coming up. Mark, if you want to flip back to that slide, that'd be awesome. Oh, actually, I just said that your email address is up there, though, so maybe not. But we have a great list of webinars coming up. If you go to wvmep.com/webinars, webinars with an S, wvmep.com/webinars. There's a list of all of our events coming up. We've got several scheduled all the way up through May right now. We're talking about doing a special energy webinar in May, or on Earth Day in April. So lots of good stuff coming up. Our next one is going to be health and safety related on the OSHA checklist. So yeah, please join these and tell your friends. The more the merrier. We enjoy doing these. We enjoy spreading some of the knowledge that we've got and learning from you guys as well. So yeah, would love to have you on board with our webinars.
And I'm trying to encourage my teammates to tell dad jokes too. So if you don't get that, you need to make sure you ask for it.
Wow. Oh, and Crystal says that we called this part 2. And Crystal, yeah, just send Mark or I an email if you want to see part 1. We can send you the recording of that. Anybody who had registered for it received it, but yeah, if you want to see part 1, just send Mark or I an email, and we'll send you a recording of. You can view the recording of that. Great. Well, fantastic job, Mark. I always learn a lot. I appreciate you doing that, and we will catch up with everybody again next Thursday with the next webinar. And never hesitate to reach out to anybody on our team. We're always happy to help with any of your manufacturing needs. So we'll catch up with you later. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Jamie.